Program is brought to you by Emory University.
In Shalimar the Clown, I think the narrator says everybody's story is a part of everyone else's, something along those lines.
Yes, that's kind of author's message, yeah, it's true. Yeah. There's very few bits in my books which actually have a neon sign above them saying this is what the author thinks, you know, but that's...
that one's it.
That's one, I mean, I just think that one of the things that the way in which my life has turned out has shown me the truth of that. You know, that I mean, I've lived in quite a lot of countries in the world, and the world is very small now. It used to be the case that the stories of individual countries or communities or even cities could be told really without reference to anywhere else. You know, I mean, Dickensian London doesn't really need to take into account even the rest of the country, you know, let alone any other country. Jane Austen's characters, likewise, they're just in this little microcosm, and even though, you know, the Napoleonic Wars are going on at the same time, she doesn't. I mean, what I'm saying is, public life impinges so little on private life that she doesn't need to bring that in. You know, and the function of the British Army in the novels of Jane Austen is to look cute at parties, you know, in red uniforms, and you know, an important function. But defeating Napoleon Bonaparte, not so much, you know. So, but that's the world as it then was. That you know, history was over there and private life was over here, and they didn't that much overlap. Now that's not so, right. You know, and I've found it to be more and more a thing that I think of as my subject, is to show how the world joins up, you know, and what are the implications and consequences of that, you know. And I mean, it sounds like a post 9/11 thing, but it's not really. I mean, I was thinking that anyway, but it is the case that, you know, on that day, the history of New York was joined to the history of the Arab world, you know, that you couldn't explain what happened in New York City without understanding what happened halfway around the planet, you know. And so that's just a brutal demonstration of the way in which these stories are no longer separate, you know, and you can't explain your neighborhood, you know, without talking about something that happened, or things that have happened thousands of miles away. So it's become, to me, very important, really, to find a way of picturing that world, and it's very difficult in a novel because I think there's something in the novel that wants to be parochial. You know, the novel wants to be about a woman living in provincial France who's bored with her husband and decides to have an affair. You know, it wants to be about that. It doesn't want to be about the whole damn planet, you know, and it resists it, you know, and yet we live in a world in which our neighborhood is the whole damn planet, you know, and how do you incorporate, how do you reshape the form to make that credible and to make the story still engaging and, you know, involving, and the people relevant to the reader and so on. I mean, this, I think, you know, every age brings its own set of creative challenges, and I think this may be ours.
This is the challenge of our time.